Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and is joining me almost always all the time until we get into, next week. A Uncle Fester to my lurch, a one Mr. Brian E. Roach. What's going on, Brian?
All right, I get the lurch, but Uncle Fester? No, I am not Uncle Fester.
You're very Uncle Fester-like. Come on, man. What are you? You're not it. You're not Cousin It.
I'm not Cousin It. You're right. I'm not Cousin It because I get the Uncle Fester in the fact that I have little hair, but I have hair.
Oh, so you're trying to say that I'd be more festering or fester-like.
I get your lurch with the tallness. That's your tall lurchness is effective. I don't know. We're going to go off on a tangent here, but I refuse to be fat Uncle Fester because I'm thin and trim now.
Oh, now, come on. You are. I will get. Brian's been on an amazing weight loss tear, by the way, folks. He deserves a hand or a round of applause. Kudos, attaboys, high fives, the whole enchilada. I will say that. But come on, man. You still are like a shorter, stubbly guy, and I'm the, elongated, tall guy. They used to call me, I used to hate it, but when I was in high school, they used to call me Lurch for basketball. I hated it. And it was like the guy who was calling me Lurch was like 5 inches taller than me. That was my coach. Anyways, I mean, I get it. I'm 6'5", but this guy was like 6'9", or 6'10", and it was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. Why are you calling me Lurch? You're like Mega Lurch or something like that. But anyways, I digress. The reason I was doing this or getting my little Halloween jab out the way is because, I will be taking a short break, but I will be back. No one need to panic. I'll be back next week at some point, but I had to get that in. Otherwise, it would have been like a belated birthday. I mean, who does belated Halloween? Although that would be pretty awesome, though, I think. Belated Halloween. Did you see there was like some like community, I think in Virginia, that's like handing out fines if you're like 12 or older or you're out past 8 o'clock. I would defy that as an adult. I would gather many other adults. We would wear costumes. It would almost look kind of like The Purge. And I'd defy them to try and fine me or jail me for trick-or-treating. How dare they? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I did not see that, but that's ridiculous.
And I just wonder if somebody would arrest me if I dressed like Al Riveron. So, Oh, who am I kidding? I wouldn't leave the house. I'd be handing out candy, and what you do is like you hand out a piece of candy and then reach your hand into the kid's bag and then take more back out. That's what Al Riveron would be doing for Halloween. Anyways, there's Halloween themes going on next week. It's on my brain. The Pens are doing something the day after. They have the Flyers the day after Monday Night Football, and they're doing a hockey ween or something like that. I forget the name that they have for it. So I wonder if there's going to be any goofy stuff on the scoreboard or anything for the Steelers being close to Halloween, or people dressed up too. They dress up in their costumes for games and then not be allowed into Heinz Field because of all the strict security. But there may be some other characters that people don't know entering Heinz Field on Monday. And man, it's such a bad segue for a joke about the Miami Dolphins, isn't it? It's like, hey, name 3 players on the Miami Dolphins. Well, I used to know Minkah Fitzpatrick, and then, he became a Steeler. So you would love to call it a revenge game, but they did him a favor. So if they do him a favor and he's on a better team, is it really revenge? Like, does he have any animosity? Like, I would doubt that. So I doubt that's a revenge game. This is like Ryan Fitzpatrick's 38th time playing the Steelers in the league, and only on his 16th team or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, that's about where it goes. In fact, we were joking about this off the air, but they still have Josh Rosen listed as the starting quarterback, and you're just kind of like, okay. And you're going through, like, you're looking at the Miami Dolphins and you're looking at the Steelers. They've been on a bye week. Everybody should think, hey, they've had all of this time to prepare for this game, so there's no possible way they could screw this up. And I'm just hoping, hey, usually when they come off of a bye week, they start slow and they do screw things up. So how worse or how bad would it be to screw up against a team that's 0-6 and looks like they're just just, I mean, it looks like they're trying to tank this season. I mean, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but their last couple of games have been a little closer. Let's take a look at the first 4 games before their bye week when they suddenly turned it around. They lost 59-10 to the Ravens. They lost 43-0 to the New England Patriots. They lost 31-6 on the road at the Cowboys. So the first 2 games were at home, obviously a home field advantage, giving up over 100 points in 2 games. And then they lost 30-10 back at home against the Chargers. Then they had yet another home game, Brian. They have the craziest schedule. So the first 6 weeks of the season, they have 5 home games and a bye week. But yeah, or I'm sorry, did I have that wrong? Yeah, so that was through 6. So they went on the road, and they had back-to-back road games. They were just at the Bills. So lost at home again to the Redskins. That came down to like the last few seconds of the game. They went for 2 instead of tying it at 17-all. I think it was Kenyon Drake just dropped the ball. It was like a little screen pass for Ryan Fitzpatrick. He probably would have walked in, and that would have been the walk-off right there, and they win their first game and only game of the season thus far. And he just simply dropped the ball. And that was game over right there. And that's the game the Redskins have won so far, too, in a battle of the worst teams, or 2 of the worst teams in the NFL, I should say. And, last week with the Buffalo Bills, they were kind of grinding, and then they went for an onside kick down, what were they, down 3? And that was the aforementioned on the last show, the onside kick that was returned for a touchdown, which, is... I don't know that that's happened in my lifetime, to be honest. That's something that's so rare, I can't even think of it happening at another point in time. So, they've been competitive at the very least, and the last thing you want to see is a Steelers team that starts, in the doldrums, gets the ball first and goes 3 and out or something, just because, not maybe necessarily because the Dolphins were this, amazing offensive juggernaut. They're really not. They give up, 417.3 yards of defense on average. Just by comparison, the Steelers are at 354.3 right now, which isn't fabulous by any means. And, I don't want to see anything where the Steelers, are caught off guard. But Miami has the 31st worst scoring offense. They have allowed the 32nd most points, 35.5. They have the worst takeaway differential at -11 in the league. They have the 30th and 31st in pass yards and rush yards on offense, and then they're 22nd and 31st in those same categories of pass and rush defense. Basically, I think teams get a lead and then just run the ball against them. There's no real reason to throw the ball, and they're next to last against the run. So I guess the big thing is that I think some people would be thinking if the Steelers weren't already 2-4, this could be a trap game, and I still feel the same way.
I'm going to say what I have said all along. There is no such thing as a trap game.
I know. You know what I mean, though.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
Yeah, it is.
There's my Admiral Akbar for you for the day. Look, we said this. When we were kind of previewing the schedule. And I'll repeat it because it bears repeating. If they lose this game, you have our free and unfettered, permission to burn Heinz Field to the ground.
Well, we're so positive. I don't know that there's any positive outcome we could have from that. I mean, more than likely the refs will still stink. I think John Hussey's, or no, was it John Hussey? Hold on, I had it. No, it was Ron Torbert is the referee for this game, and I kind of like him. I don't have any complaints about him yet. We'll see if we have any on Tuesday morning, right?
Yes.
But we're expecting the refs will still stink, and we just hope that, combined with some other things, or, the only other thing I think of that would, that would make it acceptable to lose here is if you have a Redskins 49ers monsoon where nobody could do anything with the football.
Yeah, look, if there are circumstances beyond our control, acts of God, or any deity that you may choose,
Bane shows up and blows up Heinz Field.
Yeah, we get Batman Begins or whatever, the Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises. Whatever. I'm not in my movie trivia mode. Anyway, the point being, there's literally very few reasons. There's no legitimate reason the Steelers, even with second string quarterback, even losing Stephon Tuitt, there is no legitimate reason that they should have the Dolphins come into Heinz Field and win. If they do, then you can take that scene from Dark Knight Rising where the entire field collapses and Hines Ward is standing in the end zone going, "What the heck?" And you're good to go, because that's what should happen if this occurs.
Well, I don't know that he's on the Monday Night Crew, but you could picture him being there. It would just be me doing that, actually. So Fitzpatrick comes in against that Redskins game. They threw Josh Rosen on the bench. He got sacked 5 times. He threw 2 picks. He had a 32.9 quarterback rating. I mean, it's what can possibly go bad with you're a young quarterback in the league and you're trying to do something and you end up with a bad Cardinals team last year and now a bad Dolphins team. I mean, I don't know there's anything that can help a guy like that. He's probably, scarred for life now, and they'll probably try and draft another quarterback and shove him out of the picture anyways. And that's what the reason I bring this up is just because you look at the flip side of that same game, and it was Case Keenum, and of course they have Dwayne Haskins too, who struggled when they tried to put him in. And it's just one of those things where be happy that, the Steelers have done what they've done and been competitive and whatnot with Mason Rudolph so far, who, we talked about whether there was a quarterback controversy or whatever. So he's back. He's, at full strength. He's out of this protocol and everything else. Duck Hodges is going to be the backup once again. And, Ryan Fitzpatrick ends up coming into that game, 12 of 18, 132 yards, one touchdown, 106.7 QB rating, a little bit better. Now they go and they play at Buffalo last week. And Fitzpatrick, 88 rating, he threw 35 times. I don't even know who you could target 35 times in this in this Dolphins offense. I mean, I guess Devontae Parker, who only caught like half of those. Who's the other guy? Is his name Preston Williams? I mean, there's Gesicki, the tight end. Alan Hearns is still hanging around there. So, I mean, you just can't fall asleep at the wheel here. But the way the Steelers defense has been playing, we don't really feel all too threatened with any of these guys. They really can't run. Fitzpatrick is at least giving them some semblance of something that they can, maybe put some points on the board. But once again, you know what I mean? This is a guy that's known as being an interception machine. And I don't know he's necessarily a guy that gets rid of the quarterback or gets rid of the quarterback, or a quarterback that gets rid of the ball really quick or really well. Now, we'll be talking about the flip side of that with the Steelers defense, of course, because we don't know. TJ Watt is the only guy that really shows up on the injury report, which I'm going to pull that up again real quick. He was limited abdominal strain or whatever. I think they're prepping for Ola to start with, opposite Bud Dupree there. But pretty much everyone else, Juju was sick also, so he showed up on there. But we don't expect that on, Thursday to linger into Monday. Hopefully not anything serious like Sam Darnold and mono or anything like that. But Rudolph's back, James Washington's back, Steven Nelson's back, Joe Hayden's at full strength, Mark Barron's back, Mike Hilton's at full strength, Jalen Samuels is back, Roosevelt Nix is back, Vance McDonald is a full practice also, and TJ's the only other guy. That is like a laundry list of an injury report, not including Ben Roethlisberger and Stephon Tuitt that were already lost for the season. But, without TJ is like, he's a world-class athlete and a difference maker, and it would be very disappointing to not have him out there. But I still think even a Steelers defense without TJ Watt is one that's going to bring the heat, and it's still one of the top sacking teams or teams in sacks, one of the top teams in turnovers as far as the Steelers defense thus far in 2019, and they're playing a pretty miserable offense. I think they could take advantage of.
Yeah, remember that the Dolphins traded away one of their starting offensive linemen for picks. They've traded, they're in tank mode. Whether they're really tanking games or not, I'm quite sure the players aren't. But I don't think anybody's shedding any tears if they go 0-16. They believe that they're in rebuilding mode, and this is a team that should not be sneaking up on anybody in the sense of being taken for granted, because they're still professional athletes. Taco Charlton, who they picked up, is a quality player. He already leads them in sacks with 3. I think, there's enough there to keep the interest. And the Steelers are in a position where they cannot afford to overlook any team because they've got a backup quarterback, they've got backup guys on their defensive line. They're not in that kind of position. But that injury report that you said is like a breath of fresh air for them. Minus TJ Watt, and that is a potential issue. But it's going to give Ola his chance to shine, and if in fact that's what happens, and we'll just have to see. There, as you said, there's nobody on this Dolphin team that really scares me. The only thing that would be potentially disturbing about this is that every now and then Ryan Fitzpatrick turns into that annoying moniker that they gave him in Tampa, Fitzmagic.
Oh, I thought it was Conor McGregor. I got those two guys completely confused.
Oh, well, I understand. It's so easy to do. And when that happens, he does weird things and he gets luck on his side. But the difference is I don't think he's got the weapons on the Dolphins to really become Fitzmagic. He may be able to extend some plays. He may be able to get out of the pocket a little bit. He may be able to do some things. And again, this is all assuming that Rosen is not going to actually start the game again. If in fact that's the case, I'm even less concerned. And I do feel bad for Rosen. A guy that was very highly touted, was not protected in the Cardinals organization, is not going to be protected here, is probably going to end up on another team at some point again, because it's almost certain the Dolphins are going to draft a quarterback. Once that draft comes around, so it's too bad for him. But yeah, I just don't see what scares you with this team. Now, let me tell you a story. There's a friend of mine lives in Fort Lauderdale or that area, and that's wrong. Yeah, no, it's right, Fort Lauderdale, and he's a Dolphins guy, right? He's a Steelers fan at heart. But because he lives down there, he's kind of a Dolphins guy. Because it's the team he has to root for. That's local.
Okay.
So
he could just root for the Steelers. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it could, but he also works in an industry that gets to do some of the Dolphins televising games. So he got to actually go to the Dolphin Stadium and work on the televised game, and said, you were talking about I think it was the Redskins game where the Dolphins are sitting there, they're ready to take this game from the Redskins, and he said to everybody around them who were like, "There's no way they're going to lose now. They're going to win a game. It's unbelievable." And he said, "Wait a minute. Somehow, some way, they'll screw this up." And sure enough, they did. So if you were to ask him, and his name is Mike Hahn, if you were to ask him what he thought was going to happen, he would go, "It doesn't matter. They're not going to win."
Well, I mean, that's the way I always feel about the Cleveland Browns and Jarvis Landry making his, Babe Ruth quote of that they're going to unseat the undefeated Patriots. He promised that already for this weekend. So, there's stranger things out there. I mean, that game itself, the Browns or the Patriots are minus 11.5. So, and that's courtesy, of course, the Steel City Underground podcast is brought to you in part by the FanDuel Sportsbook. And the FanDuel Sportsbook is offering a $500 risk-free bet to new users. But while that risk-free bet is an amazing deal, it's just the beginning. The FanDuel Sportsbook has tons of other awesome promos that are happening all the time on any given day. You can find odds boosts, bet insurance, special bonuses, and more. Plus, their new cash-out feature makes it easy to take your winnings early. And as the game goes on, you get updated offers to cash out your bet before the game ends. So if you have a feeling that your team's about to blow their lead, you can just cash out and take your winnings right then and there. And, Brian, I wonder about this. The Steelers are minus 14, so I thought, that might be some of the bigger odds there. But yes, they are minus 14. So they're 14-point favorites in this game with an over-under of 44. And I'm just like, man, so are we thinking the Steelers are going to reach 30, some odd points? I mean, you're thinking about how many points could the Dolphins score? We were talking about this in the last show because I was talking about, okay, if they gave up 20, I wouldn't be disappointed. But I did that within the context of thinking, okay, this is the Walking Dead. It's a skeleton crew at this point. They're going to pull a bunch of guys and, maybe Fitzpatrick and these guys. They're going to work on a couple things, throw a dart down the field, get some garbage time things, and then the game, has already been at hand. Well, you'd have to get to that point because if the Dolphins got to like 14, so you're assuming the Steelers would have at least 30. Like 30 to 14 in order to hit the 44. I mean, that's a pretty crazy deal there. So depending on what you want to do with that, you can go and download the app. And, I should probably tell everybody about the promo code. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good plan.
NFL's not the only thing that's on here. There are other sports going on, but football's the only one we care about right now. But if you care about other things, I guess the NBA might be playing. I know hockey's been going and everything like that. So there's all that to do as well on the FanDuel Sportsbook. You could download the app to bet from anywhere in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. So if you're coming in to watch the Steelers for this weekend or Monday Night Football and you're an out-of-state resident, this is something that you could do in the state of Pennsylvania, or of course, if for some reason you're in New Jersey, don't forget to sign up with the promo code SCU. That's a very clever acronym for Steel City Underground, of course. Make your first bet within 7 days, and if you lose, FanDuel Sportsbook will give you a refund in site credit of up to $500. Smackaroos, the big bucks right there. So don't forget to download the FanDuel Sportsbook app now or visit. And these both work, by the way. I checked this out. It's either sportsbook.fanduel.com. It's not a trick. It also works as fanduel.com/sportsbook. So you could go either way. Those both work. You'll get directed if you do it on you're on a regular web browser on your phone. You'll get directed to the app, and then you could use the actual app and be able to bet in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. And you could claim that risk-free bet of up to $500 with the promo code of SCU. Once again, that's SCU for Steel City Underground. Just remember there is a disclaimer, some disclaimers to this, folks. It must be your first online wager only. Refund issued as a site credit. Site credit expires after 14 days. Go to sportsbook.fanduel.com for full terms. You must be 21 or older and present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. If you have a gambling problem, don't forget, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So, Brian, now that we have all that and we were talking a little bit with the odds, I don't know what I would do with that game. I mean, that's a pretty steep, I usually feel like I got the cojones. Do I feel like 14-point favorite cojones? I'm not sure if I want to lay the wager on that one or not. I'm like, I feel good.
That's a lot of points.
It's a lot of points. The only way it's not a lot of points is if you're in one of these crazy college games where you have, one of these high-powered offenses like in Alabama or like a, Ohio State or something like that that's just going to take someone else to the woodshed,
Yeah, I mean, think about this. When is the last time the Steelers were 14-point favorites? 14-point favorites.
They probably lost the game outright, I would think, because doesn't Tomlin lose to every... I hate that narrative. That's the worst narrative. I'm surprised we actually haven't heard more of that leading up into this weekend, to be completely honest. Maybe it's because everyone finally heard us say for many years and debunked all of that stuff. I mean, the Steelers not being a road team, and they've had better road records over the last, the previous 2 seasons, and they really hadn't fallen to... even the teams we talked about that one year were the Chiefs were 1-6 or something like that. And then they won every single other game that season and ended up in the playoffs, which we're still, we're banging that drum. That's what the Steelers are going to do too, right? So
absolutely.
I don't know, man. I don't even see a game the Steelers have 2 wins. Okay. They did beat the Bengals by 24. So, there's a little precedent there, I guess, 27-3. And they got the Chargers by 7. A little bit of that was, coming at the very end. And that's that's where you put your money where your mouth is there. That's the 14 that you got to beat there. So, 24-17, the garbage time points aren't doing anybody any favors there except for the bookies. So, yeah, be careful with that one. I don't know. The 14 is really crazy. I mean, some of the other games, is there anybody else that's that high in the double digits? I think those are the only 2 games this week. Oh, no. The Rams and Bengals are also Bengals are plus 13 and the against the Rams. So the Rams are 13-point favorite, and you get the Saints as a 10.5 favorite. So there's a few more, and then of course there's the Thursday night game that had the 11.5 spread between the Redskins and the Vikings. So we won't know the result of that one right away, but most of the people listening to this will probably catch this, after that game's already completed. So yeah, 14's a lot. I mean, I would love 14. I would love like 20 some points. You look at the Baltimore Ravens, who I still think. I don't want to give them a whole lot of credence or credit or anything until I see them pile up some stuff against some other teams. But for the Ravens to beat them in the first week, 59-10, 69 total points, by the way. It's just
nice.
Yeah, I know. I was just going away from the nice part, but I wanted people to figure that out on their own. We're trying to bring it back. I don't know if that's like the most what do you want to say, PG thing to be talking about, So we'll just leave it where it is. I mean, it's terrible office humor here at the back rooms at Steel City Underground, but I want to see the Steelers. I want to see the game that they did last year where everyone was kind of like, where is this team? And they come out and just, they whip the Panthers into a bunch of little kiddies.
Yeah, this is, it's hard. It's just hard to project what's going to happen here because, again, the offense has not been prolific this season, and we don't know how they're going to come out. But this is not a good defense that they're going up against. Yes, they got to pay attention to Taco Charlton, but that's maybe about it. I mean, Jerome Baker, I think, is leading them in tackles or has a bunch of tackles. And I like Jerome Baker because, he's from the Ohio State University.
Oh, they got Raekwon, too.
They do.
But Vince Beagle's been playing, there, too. Well, we'll get into the injury news in a second. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just don't know. Xavier Howard is a decent corner, but, it's just not a tremendous defense. And you'd like to think even the Steelers' offense, as inconsistent as it's been, this could be a get healthy game for them, right? James Conner should be able to put something up. Maybe Juju gets an explosion in this game. Deontay Johnson could have a nice game here. You've got James Washington coming back off of an injury. Is this the chance for these guys to start what could be a run? You'd like to think that. I would like to see them put up, a high 28, maybe even a 30-point game against this team. Do I expect it? I don't know. I don't know what to expect out of this offense. I will say this: if the defense can score, yeah, maybe this becomes a game where 14 points wasn't nearly enough.
Well, that would be nice. I would like to see Devin Bush continue to do his thing, or maybe there is the Minka deal there that you get the revenge game, whatever. What's it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to take a look too because I was looking for this one quote. Oh, it was for Mason Rudolph about not being basically scared. They were asking him if he had any rust the last couple of weeks. He says, I don't think so. I think there's been a little rust, but I have at practice, which is understandable. I think just getting back and not really working out, going through that full practice with the ones, but I don't think I've missed much. I don't think I've skipped a beat. I think we're really starting to gel well as an offense. I'm looking forward to Monday. I think it's a special group, and we're ready to kind of get right back in this hunt and start trying to make a run. And, they also asked him, there it goes, about being gun shy. And he said, no, my dad's a linebacker. My brother's a defensive end. A lot of times I wish I could have more contact in the game because I truly love it. That's kind of geez, don't go asking for it. We don't want you getting hit like the last time. But that's kind of the backyard player that I am, so I'm not going to be gun shy at all. If anything, I'll be seeking it out, contact earlier in the game to get the rust back. I think he meant to get the rust off, but get the rust back and know what it feels like to get hit. And I guess that's what you want to hear, that he's kind of fearless. And I think this offense, the offensive line should push them around. There's no doubt about it. Xavier Howard had posted the Fresh Prince final season gif when Minka got traded to the Steelers, where he's the only one left standing in the house at the end of that show, looking around like, where's everyone else? That's what Xavier Howard was doing. And, it's somebody you still got to watch out for. Their backfield, though, I mean, these guys are all over the injury report. You had Rashad Jones with the chest not practicing. Xavier Howard himself with a knee was limited. Their center has a knee issue too, Daniel Kilgore. He did not practice, starting center, I should say. Bobby McKean, another center, also limited. I mean, they're all over the place. Josh Rosen was even on this report, and he's not even the starter right now with a neck problem. A couple guys coming back. Albert Wilson's a guy, I don't know if he factors into anything that they're really doing as an offense with some of the other guys like Devontae Parker and I'm trying to think. Jakeem Grant usually gets in there too. I guess Albert Wilson might be like their slot guy when healthy. So I mean, it's some interesting things to look at here. They actually have more guys on the injury report than the Steelers do at this point. You've got Shaq Calhoun, a guard with an illness, limited. You have Jesse Davis, who plays all over the offensive line. He's back. Jakeem Grant just came back with the hamstring. Trent Harris, a linebacker with the foot. So at the very least, and then there's Chris Lamons, cornerback. I said Bobby McCain already. Avery Moss, there's a guy from my alma mater. Defensive end, limited in practice with an ankle. Jamarcus Webb is back, I said, with a full practice. Ken Webster, a corner. You look at this and you see, even if these guys aren't starters, they're special teams. That's like the reason why they gave up an onside touchdown to the Buffalo Bills. Their special teams would be totally decimated and out of sync too. So that third phase of football, you could have something crazy happen, and I don't, count on it necessarily. But maybe Ryan Switzer takes one to the house or something. You never know, or somebody muffs a punt or something of that nature. Everything affects everything. It's like the hip bone's connected to the whatever bone, funny bone, or is the funny bone?
Did you just say Ryan Switzer takes one to the house?
Yes.
You actually uttered that phrase.
I uttered that phrase. I'm not going to put a bet on it if that were available on the FanDuel Sportsbook, but I'm saying, when you have how many guys are on this thing now? Some of them are full practice, but these are all guys on the report. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 14 guys. I mean, there's 11 on
a lot of guys.
11 on the field at any given time. 14 out of 53. That's wild,
a lot of
man.
Guys.
That's wild. I mean,
I think you look. I like Ryan Switzer. I like his surety, but I think you'd need about 4 guys on the field. And kickoff to get Ryan Switzer to take one to the house at this point.
But they may only have 4 to bring out there. That's more guys than you can make inactive on a game day. I don't know what you do. Like 14, there's like 7 that go inactive, right? So, I mean, there's a bunch of bench spots where these guys are going to be sitting there in street clothes. Somebody might have to play both ways. That was an interesting thing I wanted to bring up too. With Rosie Nix coming back and Stephon Tuitt going to IR was Tyson Alualu showed up as a fullback, and we're seeing this. The Patriots just did it, and I want to say the Seahawks may have been the other team that I saw do it, where they either don't have a fullback or a healthy one, and you're seeing guys from the defensive side of the ball, these almost 300 or are 300 pounders come in on the offensive side, and they're pulling George Blanda duty. They're playing both sides, except they're not kicking too. So, but it's I don't know that Alu now that Nix is going to be back, you're not going to see that. And I thought maybe with the Tuitt injury you wouldn't see that. I was like, if Nix doesn't come back, who fills that role? I don't even know. Like, who else can you bring? You're going to get LT Walton up to speed with that, or Dan McCullers? I don't know if he can get up to speed. I don't know if speed is a gear. I think his switch is on and off. It's on and off, and you plant. They call him the shade tree, and I think you just plant him, water, and then replant on every play.
Yeah. So I think that's a fair statement. Look, if you see Dan McCullers trucking down the field at speed, please pass me the doobie.
Oh, geez, man, going a little far. So we think if you didn't hear the last episode, folks, we think that you're going to see an uptick in playing time with Javon Hargrave, and then Hargrave and Hayward probably spelled by Alu, maybe more of a 3-man rotation, and you might see dot the I here with the 3-4. Your nose tackle might be Dan McCullers getting maybe an additional 5 to 10 snaps. So it'll be something interesting to look at. And if this game does get under control, we may see the Steelers experiment with some real game situations to see what they have instead of losing some players. But everyone else is going to be back. You got Steven Nelson back at practice, which is the glove, he's there. You got Joe Hayden had a scare. He's 100% there. You have Mark Barron, for what it's worth. He'll be out on the field doing whatever in whatever role. Just everybody. Vince Williams. You finally almost have the full complement. I wished it to it when they get hurt. That would have been perfect. The Steelers they can't avoid anything when it comes to this. And I'm still going to knock on this, for another 10 games or maybe even plus 10 games to go. And don't forget, the Dolphins are wearing throwback jerseys on Monday night. In order to counteract their mojo, the Steelers have the color rush jerseys. So it's going to be an electric, I think it's an electric atmosphere. I hope there's a good crowd at Heinz Field. I know some people down on the team. I know there's some other folks that are like, geez, another primetime, weekday night game. I mean, this year, 2 Monday nights, the Thursday night is on the road. No Sunday nights, at least not yet. There might be something that gets flexed in the future, but it's like, I just hope that the Pittsburgh crowd comes out. I do think that, for this game, which is, not exactly the one you want to put up on the marquee, with the Dolphins being the other, key opponent there, I just hope there's a good draw or a good crowd. And if anybody's like sitting on the fence about whether or not to go, like, look at this. Some of these people are dropping their tickets for like next to nothing. Just spend a little bit of the cash and go out there. It should be decent weather as well. I mean, you're in, mid to late, you're in late October now, and it's still, somewhat, nice out there. 60s for a night game or whatever. It's going to be beautiful weather. They're in the color rush, and it'll be a nice atmosphere. And you might get to see, your favorite team kick some heavy duty booty as well. So do we have any bold predictions for this game, Brian? Because I was giving this some thought, and it's always hard. You don't have a real feel on things because of the bye week. I don't have the best of feel on the Dolphins because I just think they're a team of desperation. They could really do anything. I could see them going for it on 4th down a couple of times because what did they really have to lose? You know what I mean? They're going to be wearing these throwbacks. I think they're going to have at least some type of pride. They don't, there's no team that wants to go out there no matter what your record is and get embarrassed by another team. They see that, the Steelers are going to have their color rush. They're at home. It's primetime Monday night. You don't want to get embarrassed in that situation or look foolish. So I think they're going to bring the best game. I'm not going to say an A game because I'm not sure if they have an A game, but it's whatever their A game is. They're going to bring the best of what they're capable of doing, and I think that the Steelers are going to need to do that as well. I feel the defense, I think we're going to go with 3 picks on Ryan Fitzpatrick because, if TJ's not there, I'm not really sure how many sacks they get. It could be like 3. It could be like 5. I don't know how bold I want to get with that, but I think the interception factor can definitely be there.
I like that. 3 seems high, but I like that. I would love
14 points seems high.
Yeah, it does. I'm going to go as bold as well. This is my bold prediction that Ola honors the number 92 by taking over the game and actually comes away with a strip sack and another sack. So he causes a turnover, gets a sack, and is just a disruptive force throughout.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, all right. I just shared that on the Throwback Thursday on the site was the James Harrison in the playoffs. I hate when they show these things. Like we were reading some of these statistics and it was saying, the Steelers lead the all-time series 12-11. Dolphins won the last 2. And it's like the last game, 2016, Dolphins won 30-15. And it's like, well, wait a second. That's not the game. The last game that was there was actually in that postseason where they came out with an early 14-0 lead, and it was like 20-3, 20-6, and then Matt Moore ended up getting posterized by Bud Dupree, literally flatlined. They had to bring in what was his name? TJ Yates. And he didn't do so hot either. It was either him or Moore, but Harrison came around right before the end of the first half with a strip sack. And I had that up on the website if anybody wants to go there and look at it. So, just throwing maybe some like hypotheticals here or whatever. Let's just say, it isn't out of hand. Anybody gets pulled early and everybody just plays a full game. James Conner, 100 total yards. What do you say? Yes or no? Above or below 100? All purpose.
All purpose, buck 50. All purpose.
Buck 50. Are you expecting Jalen Samuels to not get any looks or touches?
I think that they will be somewhat limited with Jalen Samuels.
Okay.
He is coming back from surgery. I think they will ease him back into the offense.
Okay.
And I don't. So that's. Yeah, I think buck 50 all-purpose yards. I think he tops the century mark on the ground.
Oh, all right. That's good. So we're expecting at least 20-some touches then, hopefully. And then what? The Steelers always win. That's what we always say when that happens. Do we see the Wildcat on Monday? I don't think so.
God, I hope not.
I don't think we see it. I think, let's see. What do we got? We want to go bold here. Do we get anywhere from 8 to 10 receptions out of Juju with a touchdown? Maybe the century mark as well, or no?
This is my guess. Is I would assume that Xavier Howard is going to be on Juju, and I think the question will be whether he's going to track him the entire game or not. And even if he does, I don't have that much respect for Xavier Howard to say he's going to shut Juju completely down. I think Juju could have an 8-catch game and break 100 yards.
I'm okay with that. It all depends on what's going on here with Jones and McCain too, and if these guys are going to be healthy, they're safeties, because with no safety help, he could take the top off of it. I think he goes to the house. I think he gets at least one in there. So that gets us to Mason Rudolph. Does he have a 300-yard passing game?
I'm going to go with no. I think he's over 250, somewhere between 250 and 290. Because I think the Steelers will still be conservative in their approach. And if James Conner is going to eat up the ground game, I don't think there's any reason to have Mason Rudolph consistently airing the ball out. But we'll see. I think he has a good game. I think he has a not even a manager-like game. I think he comes away with a QB rating close to what his season average is, which is 103 or something like that. So I think he has a solid game. I just don't know that he tops 300 yards.
102.5. If he gets to 250 or better, that'll be a career high. So
there you go.
Speaking of career highs, 3 touchdowns or better.
For Mason?
For Mason, yeah.
I'm going to go 2.
Okay.
2 touchdown passes, and we get 2 touchdowns on the ground.
I'm keeping the ball on the ground, my game planning in my head as well. I think if there's something that breaks off, like let's say it's a quick slant with someone and they go 40-some yards or better, then maybe that's how he gets that statistically. But that's the reason why the Dolphins' pass defense appears to be, better yardage-wise, is because everyone kind of just runs the ball, and then they're successful at doing that too. So I'm less bullish on Mason, more bullish on our boys in the backfield. Benny Snell, what do you see coming from Benny Snell in this game? You think he gets 5 touches in this game? Or you say they're going to ease in Jalen Samuels, so do we see Benny Snell maybe on a 3rd down, or maybe even like an early down, like a 1st down in the middle of a drive or something like that? I could see that happening.
Yeah, I think we could see some Benny Snell football. Or wait, I said that wrong. We could see some Benny Snell football. And
all periods.
Yeah, all periods. And if that's the case, I think, there's a good chance if he might get as many as 8, maybe even 10 carries, in spare, sparring with James Conner there, spelling him out in the game. I think I'm hoping that they just are consistent and solid on offense. I think that this is a team they should be able to run the ball against consistently, and I would like to see them do that. So I'm saying that they're going to go, ground heavy.
Yeah, and I mean, he went 17 for 75 against the Chargers with Connor going out. You know, Connor hasn't run for his season high rushing 55. So you get that motor going there. But he does have, against the Bengals, he had 83 receiving and 78 receiving as well against the Chargers. So both of those wins. So get Connor involved. The 150 total, I kind of like that. On the defense, you know, I was saying 3 interceptions. You were saying, what did you say? You said, did you say anything? 5 sacks or something like that? Or what was, I forgot what your prediction was now.
What I said was Ola gets 2.
Oh, Ola gets a strip sack. That's right.
A strip sack and gets a separate sack. So he ends up with 2 sacks. Overall, I think they could come away with 5.
So you get the defense at least scoring. How about, you know, the Miami defense? Did they get the Rudolph at all? 0 sacks maybe for the Steelers offense if they're run heavy?
This is because Mason can also hold the ball and has sometimes shown a tendency to try and do so. There's a chance that they get to him, but I think they can keep him clean.
Sounds pretty good.
So no sacks.
Yep, and the one thing I would like to see a little more of that we really hadn't gotten to see because he's been banged up is Vance McDonald, or for that matter, Nick Vannett. Let's get the tight ends involved in this game too, and I think these are a fairly solid amount of predictions. I think we're all thinking touchdowns. You think there's a lot of Chris Boswell or Jordan Berry action in this game? I really don't sense. I don't sense the Steelers punting an awful lot. They really shouldn't unless they shoot themselves in the foot. But if you get down in the red zone and you run the ball, Miami could make a stop. Maybe you see Boswell out there a couple of times. I don't know. He's been solid, but he hasn't really been necessarily tested either. You know what I mean? So we'll see what goes on with the Wizard of Boz. And that's about all the more I think we can say about this game because everything in the NFL is just so unpredictable, and I hate it's. The confidence level, I don't want to sound like not confident about this. I believe that, what the Steelers have shown us, even given their record and the teams they've lost against, they should be able to handle this team. And I think this is going to be the measuring stick now to see, hey, you know what? They shot up those power rankings after beating the Chargers with Duck Hodges. Everybody's starting to believe in the defense. Now let's show the fans at home and everybody watching on prime time, or, we'll see what the markets are that are watching the game, probably just Pittsburgh. Yeah. And we'll see, let's see the statement here. You have all these, take a look at this, just, and we're basing this, not basing this on anything other than just looking at this from last week, week 7. How many teams scored at least 30 points? Chiefs get 30 on the Broncos. Rams get 37 on the Falcons. Bills get 31 on the Dolphins. The Bills got 31 on the Dolphins. Okay, I know onside kick return for TD, but still, they got 31 points, the Buffalo Bills. The Vikings get 42, and the Lions end up getting 30 in that game that was a shootout. The Packers have 42. The Colts had 30. Let's see. Cardinals were just short. They were at 27. Saints had 36. Ravens had 30. Cowboys had 37, and the Patriots had 33. That's a lot of teams scoring 30 or more. There's no reason to believe that the Steelers shouldn't be able to do the same. I'm looking for a victory. I'm looking for something I can hang my hat on. So, when I get to listen to you, I guess the professor's going to stand in for me on the post game. I'll be having that drive home, on Tuesday or whatever. And, I'm going to be listening to you too. And hopefully you'll be, very happy with the result.
My expectation is the same. Look, I don't know what I'm going to do if they lose this game. I don't know how I'm going to handle that because this is not a team that this team should lose to, even as banged up as they have been, even with the limitations they have. This should not be a tense game. This should be a game where late in the fourth quarter, if you choose to have an adult beverage, you should be able to do so safely and enjoy a peaceful period of time because the game should be put away.
You're having an adult beverage not because you're trying to make the pain go away. It's because you're toasting a little bit of the bubbly, as I said. Some of my wrestling friends out there will get that. So,
and I don't know anything about that, because I don't do the adult beverages. But this is a game that I think we should enjoy watching, much the way we enjoyed the Bengals game. The defense should control this game. The offense should be able to score, and there should be really not a lot of concern going on. So where's some wood, because I need to knock on it real fast.
I know, man. The only worst thing is maybe we get like that guy with the old takes exposed, comes back, listens to this podcast, and things don't go the way we saw it. And it's like, well, what other way would you have seen it? I guess my magic 8-ball was fuzzy, try again later or whatever. Or if you're the idiot that shakes it too much that there's bubbles in it and you can't read anything, then, maybe it's something like that. But, hopefully we don't get to that point where we drop the ball. Boom. How about that, man? So word choice. How about that? I'm just, I'm a wordsmith over here. So anyway, a lyrical gangster. Anyways, folks, that'll do it for us. Brian, thanks for joining me once again.
Always. I will miss you after the game, but the professor will do his best.
I hope so. I hope we can continue to call him the professor from here on out. We've had some.
He's had some rough takes lately.
Very, very questionable. Not necessarily the worst of the worst. We'll defend it. We'll defend the guilty here. We won't out him just yet. We'll allow him to present himself in a public forum and defend himself. Darn it. So it's just you could just look, folks. You can go on some of the weekly picks that we do and where we get some of where we pull this stuff out, and some of the people that were anti-Steelers going into that Chargers game amongst our own crowd, and so we've shamed them, as we should. So absolutely. Anyways, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave some positive reviews out there, and because there's a few of them that are just dumb, and I even hate the words that are used in it, and let's push those down the page if you can, especially you Apple / iTunes users out there. We really appreciate it. So my name's Joe, his name's Brian. Until next time, we encourage everyone to be safe, be good, and we will catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.